Hello everyone, and welcome to my first ever video game guide. If you are asking yourself, who even is this guy, and why should I listen to him? Fear not, for I have put in a ridiculous amount of time in this game, and I need to spread my newfound knowledge before it becomes obsolete. A lot of ideas I have for these upcoming videos, including this one, are things that aren't talked about in the same way, so I think you could appreciate my unique input. When you choose your faction, you want to think about what you want your character to look like and what bonus helps you with your plan. But more importantly, you want to pick a faction that you can get the most immersion from and the most fun from. What kind of people interest you the most in history? Do you like the idea of fighting on foot within the shield wall, waiting to be brought into Valhalla? Well, then the Sturgians are probably for you. Or do you want to conquer those pesky barbarians with your Roman-like war machine? Or does the idea of commanding a nomad horde of horsemen raining seemingly infinite clouds of arrows into your inferior enemies suit you more? Then the Kuzites might be for you. Personally, I love the Sturgians. They seem to be a mix between Russian and Norwegian, and are brutal warriors. In the game, there are actual seasons that cycle every 30 days. With their less speed penalty from snow, you are able to have a tactical advantage in the wintertime, as snow spreads to the other areas during that time. So when you are choosing your faction, make sure you include your bonus with your planned strategy. And again, if you don't really know what your strategy is and you're kind of coming into this without an idea, or you want to try something new, then just pick something that seems interesting. Like, for example, if you want to be more of a pacifist and you just want to learn trading and make a fat profit and potentially even buy your own castles, then you can try the Aserai, which gives you a good trade bonus. But the thing is that you can do that same strategy with any other faction. These just have the best faction bonus that will help you. For this video, though, I'm going to be choosing the Sturgians. I'm going to be talking more about my chosen strategy during the character creation. Now, when you create your character, you want to make sure that they are as beautiful as possible. As you can tell, I'm pretty much a professional at making them super beautiful. The reason why I'm making his cranium this big is because he really needs to have enough room for the big brain strategy I'm going to be giving him. Oh yes, this is coming out nicely. Oh yes, there we go. It needs to be going that way. Yes, yes, there we go. Perfect. Alright, I think we're good to go. Yep, that's that's beautiful. I can't imagine a more lovely looking face. So now we just need to choose the perfect hairstyle. Oh yes, lovely, perfect, perfect. Now, will this take away from his beautiful chin? I don't know. It just depends on if we find the most fitting facial hair for our beautiful hero. You know what? I think that might actually work. I don't know. I feel like you can't really tell how ridiculous it is unless he has no hair. But this is also pretty ridiculous, you know? I'm having a hard time here. Maybe he just needs a mustache, actually. Just a mustache. Yep. There we go. The ultimate character. So now, they've got a few different things you can put on their face. One of the cool things about this game is that you can actually change their look in-game at any time by pressing V. So if you want to look a little bit more crazy, or maybe you want to try to actually make your character look like an actor from a show or something, then you can do that anytime. It can be kind of fun. But for my character, I think we're gonna make him Oh yes, that's actually as much as I'd like to do that one, I kind of like this for some reason. So I think we're gonna go with that. So in the next portion of the character creation, you are basically choosing a background story for your character, and this basically determines your beginning stats. Now, your strategy for the choosing starting stats should be dependent on your strategy for the game moving forward. One thing to think about is what kind of warrior you want to be. For this video, I'm going to be creating a well-rounded warrior based on survivability, leadership, and most importantly, smithing. Smithing is going to make us a lot of money and allow us to make weapons for us and our companions. I'm going to start with free farmers because that gives me 1 in polearm and 1 in athletics. By the end, I want to have 1 in each melee skill so that it's easier to get level 25 in each skill early on. This is because at level 25 in each of these skills, you can choose between extra damage or an extra 3% to HP. I always choose the extra HP for more survivability. This allows me to lead my troops into battle for longer, especially in dangerous scenarios like bandit hideouts or sieges. In my opinion, being able to sustain more damage and survive for longer is going to allow you to have more of an impact on battles than if you were to do the most damage you possibly can. Especially since there are certain weapons and scenarios where you are already going to be one-shotting certain troops, so extra damage isn't going to do a whole lot for you. Athletics also offers a similar choice, but not at level 25. Later in the skill, you are able to choose between 3% increased movement speed and some bonus HP. The choice is a little bit more difficult because you could argue either perk helps you with survivability, but increasing your athletic skill in general helps your movement speed on foot and can help you in so many different scenarios, and it's honestly really important to level up. And endurance is going to help us level up athletics easier as well as smithing. Secondly, I will be choosing the skill with horses, because this provides 1 endurance, 1 skill point in riding, and 1 in medicine. The reason behind all these skills is because I want to be able to be proficient with riding as well as athletics. A higher riding skill allows you to ride better horses. I won't focus on riding as much as I will on athletics, but it will still be nice to have at least just 1 focus point in riding, considering I will be riding a horse very often. I would also like to have at least 1 point in medicine, so that I can reach level 25 quicker for the same reasoning as athletics and the melee weapon skills. This will allow me to choose a perk for 10 extra HP after I get 25. I plan on switching the responsibility of a surgeon over to a companion who has a higher medicine level than me once I get to that level. Next, I chose worked in the village smithy, because that gives me 1 in vigor and 1 in two-handed. This will help me become more of a well-rounded warrior, as I want to be 3 in most attributes except for endurance for a while. I'll be dumping like all my new attribute points into endurance for smithing, but having at least level 3 in each attribute is going to help me level up all the other different skills. But I will also add a few points in intelligence past 3 as well after I get my endurance to maybe 7 or 8, because that's going to help with my steward skill, which is one of the most passive learned skills that will help you increase your party size. Basically, as long as you have a variety of food in your inventory, you're going to be gaining steward levels, so it helps to allow it to level up pretty quickly by increasing the intelligence and giving it focus points. And of course, it gives me 1 focus point towards smithing, which is kind of self-explanatory. For the 4th choice, I chose joined the skirmishers, because it gives me 1 point in control to further even out the attributes, 1 point in one-handed to finish the melee focus points, and 1 point in throwing because I plan on using javelins a lot, especially in bandit hideouts and on the battlefield to get rid of high-value targets such as lords very easily. For the 5th one, I chose invested some money in land, because it gives me 1 in intelligence, and smithing, and one in trading, because a large part of the game has you moving from city to city, whether it be to sell things or to buy supplies, and in the meantime, you can trade for a bit of profit. Anytime you stop at a city, you can check if they have any cheap goods, or if any of the goods you've already bought for cheap sell for a profit. Sometimes I will keep open a WordPad to record some of the best prices I have found, as the trade rumors that you see in-game aren't always accurate and don't include every good deal for every city. The prices do fluctuate depending on what faction owns what village, but generally in the beginning the prices are usually around the same in each city. I will provide a picture in the description that shows where certain goods are produced. I also may make a video talking about my notes and where some of the best trade routes are, or where some of the best places to sell certain goods are if it's requested. Lastly, I chose Trick the Raiders because, well, we're a smart, well-rounded individual with a beautiful head containing an ugly big brain. Also because cunning gets us closer to being well-rounded, and tactics will help us when auto-resolving our battles, also known as simulated battles, where you send out your troops to fight in an instant instead of having to do the battle manually. Roguery also has an interesting perk later on that will allow you to receive more loot from battles. It's naturally leveled up as you sell prisoners, and doesn't hurt to give wiggle room to grow skills that are naturally going to be worked on anyways. Because it takes skill points to level up your character, and as you level your character, you can spend new attribute and focus points on the things you want to focus on the most. Now we just need an equally beautiful name for our stunning character here. Considering I moved most of the sliders to the left, I think we should call him Zero. The Zero Hero. I mean, look at him. And personally, I like to play on all realistic and challenging combat AI difficulty. Currently, the enable death does not actually work, but I think in the future they want to be able to allow your companions as well as yourself and other lords to actually die instead of only become unconscious. I would love to experience that in this type of game. That would be really cool, especially since you can have children, and they talk about how you will be able to basically play as your child after you naturally pass away, because even if you don't die in battle, your character will eventually get too old and die of old age, and you can actually check how old your character is and how old your children are and all that in the encyclopedia. And all you need to do is press N in-game to access the encyclopedia. Also, I do not want to do this. If you are new to the game, this might help you a little bit, but it really helps to choose your clan members' perks so they can be more tailored to be able to do exactly what you want them to do and be efficient at it. And this is especially important when you're talking about smithing, and I'll show you a little bit later how that is important. Anyways, I think that's about it for the character creation. So currently how the game is, I've played through a few different playthroughs, and I don't think you can actually do the brother quest. It starts out in the tutorial, and I'm actually not going to be doing the tutorial on this character, but it's pretty helpful because it teaches you the basic mechanics of the game, including combat and recruiting and all that. But I'm going to assume you can already figure that out. And I'm going to jump to the specifics, so we're going to skip this. So as I was talking about, he is the Zero Hero. So anyone who is in my family is a hero. I'm not sure what kind of... Oh, perfect. It looks like an H. Alright. Regardless of what strategy you are planning on taking, the best thing to usually do is buy at least one horse and one mule at this village nearby to get you started. This mule will help you carry a lot of the things that you're going to need in the beginning, and a horse, you can replace your sumpter horse if you have at least 10 in riding. But as you can see, these are what our stats look like from what we chose in the beginning. I'm going to immediately put one more focus point into smithing. I plan on maxing that out first, and then straight after smithing, I'm going to move on to steward and at least put in a few points. The basic principle of this strategy is to buy cheap weapons to smelt for iron, and buy hardwood at a decent price in order to smith your own weapons and sell those for a profit. You can also refine iron ore into iron, but it takes a lot more smithy stamina and is not as cost effective most of the time in the current 1.3 patch. If this changes, I will alter this video, but until then, we will proceed as if smelting is still the best way to acquire iron and steel. Here is a map of some recommended paths in order to acquire all the supplies needed. In addition to hardwood and iron, you will also need mules, horses, and men to help your carrying capacity and speed. You will need mules for your carrying capacity and horses to increase your speed. You will need at least one horse per infantry or ranged person on foot in order to keep at your highest speed. Also, the larger army you get, the slower you will be, so it helps to have a small band of maybe 20 to 60 men at first. As you can see, I've marked some of the major areas that I found most plentiful with the respective resource. I will provide a link in the description for some of the photos I have shown in this video. In order to make a profit from smithing, you need to unlock a good blade for either a two-handed sword, a two-handed axe, or a polearm with a blade. And to unlock a blade, you're going to need to smith and smelt weapons along the way. In order to start, you will need supplies. You can decide which strategy to mix and match and what works for you. 1. You can bet on a tavern game. 2. Arena and tournaments. 3. Fighting. 4. Quests. It's up to you if you want to recruit soldiers and fight right away, but I usually stick with a few companions and maybe a couple mercenaries I find in the tavern until I get to the Northland. You can either get really lucky or take a while to unlock a good blade, so keep at it, but either way, make sure to try to mix it up and keep it fun. Choose your path towards Sturgia and stop at every major city along the way. Here's a checklist to go through every time you stop at a city, and a goal list I like to use for some of my playthroughs. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for your time, and if you liked it, please drop a like as it really helps me with the algorithm. If you have any questions or suggestions, don't hesitate to comment, and if you'd like to see other videos in the future, feel free to subscribe. Lastly, if you'd like to see any live gameplay, I will put a link to my Twitch stream in the description. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you next time. It looked like he dodged. That was crazy. Hold on. And not so lucky.